are just you and me, okay? Bueno, my dear people, so today we're going to be working our second class of the week, number 3. Ready? Yesterday we talked about that this week it was going to be about communication. And then we talk about how can we describe different behaviors, in this case about communication, but they could be applied to any other kind of behaviors and opinions using gerunds and also using infinitives, right? And we answered some questions related to our habits. What is customary for us? What is strange for us, right? That, for example, calling the name of my best friend, it's normal for me. Now, for me, it is not, right? For me, calling my best friend by his name, it's strange, yeah? For me, calling my best friend parce or something like that, it's more common, right? So in that case, guys, we have 3 questions, and I would like you to think about it using, of course, the gerunds or the infinitives from yesterday. Ready? The first question says, what stories are typical in your family? For example, in my case, listening about my uncles and aunts' stories or adventures is typical in my family. Not so much about the new generation stories, but the old generation stories or listening about those stories is common or it's normal in my family. What about you?
In my family are typical here the stories of my grandparents, my aunts, mostly because they're before living in the campo, ¿cómo se dice campo?
In
No
the
sé,
field.
in the field. So maybe the
Countryside,
stories
maybe?
of
I don't know.
Also, in the countryside también. Countryside también sirve para decir como en el campo, right? Mm.
about the spirits and the kind of things that is scary,
Mhm.
things
Like
like that.
about witches and ghosts and all of that.
Yes, yes, all that.
Mhm. Okay, Amy, very good. And hi, John, what about you, bye?
Teacher, but when you ask about typical in your family is maybe something we used to talk in meetings and yeah. Well, it depends. My dad my parents got divorced, so I have two families now. And when I have been with my dad, with my family's dad, I think something we used to talk is about soccer. We love soccer, so maybe we used to watch the soccer games and talk about the teams and players, and I think that's a topic for us. And when I am with my parents, my mother's family, maybe I don't know, business, things like that. Uh, Yes, and I got a third family now because my wife's family is another family now for me. So we used to talk about different things are happening in Colombia, maybe things related to our faith as well. So maybe it could be some things we talk.
Okay, very good. Well, so in that case, all of those can be included as a gerund, no? Because that's the topic that you could say, for example, talking about our faith is common with my in-laws. You know, when we mention my in-laws, it's like the family in-law. I mean, the family of my couple. Yeah. So your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, your brothers-in-law, your sisters-in-law. So it's common with my in-laws, no? Talking about our faith. Or I don't know, for example, mentioning situations of the country, it's common with my in-laws, right? Or remember that it's also possible to use it as an infinitive, right? So for example, it is typical to talk about soccer with my father's family. Or, for example, it is typical to talk about business with my mother's family. So you can use it with gerunds or with infinitives, depending that you want, whatever you want, right? Second question, guys. Is it customary to tell jokes in your family or not so much?
Talking about jokes in my father's family is so common. Yes, they used to do a lot of jokes comments that has like I don't know how can I say this in English. It's like como un doble sentido.
Okay, double sense, in double
Double
sense.
sense? Okay.
Uh-huh.
So that's the way my family jokes.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, my family is the same, right? But very good. In that case, you said talking about jokes or making jokes is customary in my father's family. So you use it as a gerund, no? Muy bien, very good. Emily, what about you, my dear?
In my family, no, it's no typical to tell, bueno, to tell jokes. So maybe some parts do double sense, but no jokes like all
Okay,
the
okay.
time.
Yeah, very good, excellent. Okay, very good. So she said, no, in my family, it is not common, it is not typical to make jokes or to tell jokes, right? Perfect, very good, right? And the last one, the last question, guys. Number three. What was the last gossip that you heard at home? But I think Emily already told us the last time that her cousin was going to travel to Europe with her sugar daddy, But maybe you listen another gossip, or is there another information that you have overheard at home? Mhm.
For the moment, no.
Not for the moment. That was the last information that we got.
Yes.
Okay, very good. John, what about you, my friend? Is there any information or anything that you overheard? Do you remember what was the meaning of overheard?
Sin querer, escuchar sin querer.
Escuchar sin querer, no? Like, I listened, but it was not my intention. They were not talking to me. So, John, is there something that you overheard that you can tell us? Or nothing personal, of
Teacher,
course.
honestly, talking about gossips is not so common in my family. It's maybe well, it depends. And in my wife's family is not common. No, no, no. But I don't used to gossip.
Okay, very good. Well, in my case, for example, and this is it's a sad news, right? It's a sad gossip, but yeah, my mom My mom said she was not talking to me. She was like talking on the kitchen, but I overheard. Yes. My mom said that my cousin, my cousin would divorce, right? It's a sad story, but that is what I heard. Yes. So in that case, of course, this gossip it's used or is expressed using report speech. That was the last part that we saw the last time. And remember that the report speech is going to have two different parts. The reporting clause, which is the first sentence in which I mention who said the information. In this case, my mom said, right? And this information, which is here, it's my cousin would divorce. But of course, the original sentence that my mother said is a expression. Her name is Clara. Clara will divorce. Right? That was what my mother said. That was the information that my mother said. But when I try to report it, I have to change it. Of course, I said Clara, but if I say Clara, you don't know who Clara is. So in that case, I'm going to change it to my cousin, right? So the subject of the gossip. Then we have the same verbs that we have here, but this one it's going to change. Remember that we saw that the verb, when it's reporting a statement, it's going to go back a tense. It's going to retract one tense. So here, if the original sentence is with will, the report is with would, right? Oh, imagine that maybe my mother said, I know there is a possibility that Clara can divorce. So in the report, I would have said, my mother said that my cousin could divorce, right? Because I changed the verb, right? Or imagine that my mother said, no, it is sure, it is certain that Clara is going to divorce, is going to divorce, right? In that case, the change in here would have been not in the modal verb because there we don't have modal verb, but we have verb to be. Clara is going to divorce. So my mother said that my cousin was going to divorce, right? So always that verb when I am reporting a an statement, which is information. Yes, it's just something that I want to tell, algo que yo quiero contar, right? Then the verb is going to change, right? On the other hand, if my mother reported an instruction or something like that, yes. For example, my mother was talking to my young brother, yes, and she said, Andres, Andres is the name of my brother, yes. So she said, Andres, turn turn off the washing machine. I don't know why, but that is what my mother said. Turn off the washing machine. Yeah. So in that case, this is not an statement. This is a request. Yes. And it's only composed by the verb, which in this case is turn off, and then the complement, which in this case is the object, the washing machine. Right. That in this case, Andres is not the subject. I mean, it's just my mother calling the attention of the person. Oiga usted. Yes, you. Yes, do that. Right. So in that case, this is a request. Yeah. The request is reported differently. Yes, because in that case, I'm saying, okay, the first part is the reporting clause. My mother said. My mother said, I can say. But in this case, I have specifically who was the information for it. So in that case, my mother asked, the video asked my brother, yeah, my mother asked my brother to what? What was the solicitation, the request?
Turn off the washing machine.
Mhm. Exactly, to turn off the washing machine. Turn off the washing machine. Wait, the washing machine. Very good. Yeah. That case, it's not change in the verb because the verb was in infinitive. Infinitive here, infinitive here. It's after two, so we know that it's in infinitive. This is not an statement, it's a request. So in that case, there is no change into the question or into the report. Okay? So guys, in this case, the second part of the report speech is just like a review in which we see different things that we can report. Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm going to open here, up, right here. This is going to move. Ra, 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 ra. Right. So in that case, guys, we're going to have different possibilities to report. Yes. When we report something that it's a general truth, it's the same. For example, I don't know, they said, I believe in God. That is something that it's real today and it's real tomorrow and it is always real. So it's a general truth, in which case I don't have to change it. Ah, the teacher said that he believes in God. Yeah, I don't change it because it's something that it's always real. Different from that, if we have here an imperative, which is an order or an instruction, it's the request. That is when we do it with to. Yeah. So my mother asks my brother to do ta ta ta, right? My mother asks me to blah blah blah, depending the state, the order. If it's information that I want to transmit, then I use that, and then there is a change in the tense. If it's present, the original, the reported is in past. If it's present perfect, the original, the reported is in past perfect. If it's present continuous, the reported is in past continuous. So in that case, there is a change, right? And as I said yesterday, if it's a yes or no question, I am going to report it using the expression if. And if it's a WH, I simply have to use the WH corresponding. Ready? For example, first sentence would be, hey, I don't know, let's say, pass me the salad, please. Yeah, imagine that this is your father talking. Your father said that information. So how would you report it?
Back in past, huh? My father told me to pass me the salad.
Almost, but not to pass me because you are not passing
Ah, sorry,
yourself.
see, to
To
pass
pa
him.
exactly. So my father told me to pass him the salad. Of course, I'm not going to use please because that is part of the favor, not of the report. Yes. But then what about if my father said something like, this salad, this salad tastes wonderful. This salad tastes wonderful. What is the meaning of taste?
Sabe. Saber.
Saber, ¿cierto? De sabor. Muy bien. Very good. So how would you report it? This is in simple present. This salad tastes wonderful. So, and it's an information that he wants to transmit. So how would you report that?
I think it's in a statement. So my father said, or yes, said that this salad tastes wonderful.
Okay. But in this case, since this is in present, in the report has to be
Past.
in simple past. So in that case, my father said that this salad, o más bien that salad, yes, because era esa ensalada, that salad, what is the past of taste?
Tasted.
Yeah, it's a regular verb. Tasted wonderful, right? Remember that here there is necessary the change in tense, right? No problem. Now, what about if I change one more time the information? Then I don't say that. And my father asks, is that, uh, let's say, is that a tomato salad? Which, of course, it's a yes or no question. How would you report that?
My father said if the tomato salad, I know if that is a tomato salad. I
Okay.
see it's in present, huh?
Yeah, but I have to change it in the questions. It's also necessary to change it. So if that was a tomato salad, si esa era una ensalada de tomate, right?
Y lo que pasa es que uno ve lo traduce hombre, al español.
No, but in Spanish also happens the same. Pasa lo mismo, right? So, well, of course, no, we don't have to change it to Spanish in our head, but it's for a reference that it also happens the same in Spanish, no? A
Teacher,
question.
pero for example, if it's a salad that is like there, it's like
Ah,
it's
well,
there.
it is not
Uh,
necessary to change it.
so
It
my
is
my dad told me that
acting.
salad is a tomato salad. So if I have someone next to me, I can say my dad said that this is a tomato
Yeah,
salad
of
or
course,
what.
that change is dependent on the distance of the moment of the question and the distance of the report. If the report is immediate, you don't have to change it. Yes. But if there pass like some time between the real question or the real information and the report, then you have to change it to the past because the moment of the original sentence was before, right? Careful when we ask when we report questions, it's going to be with the verb ask because it's like me preguntó o preguntó, right? No me dijo, sino me preguntó, right? So in that case, usually with the verb ask, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, now what about if the question is something like, what does the salad have? What does the salad have? Like, what ingredients does it have? That's the real question, no? So in that case, how would you report that question? Say like, okay, he asked me,
Teacher, we use have for the answer.
not really.
This salad has, I don't know, tomatoes, onions.
But the question is, I mean, we are not going to answer the question, but we are going to report. Like, mi papá me preguntó, ta, 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 right? So,
Oh, sorry, yeah.
yes. How would you do it?
With the same word asked. Yes.
Yeah.
My father asked, what does the salad had?
In that case, it's not necessary to use the auxiliary because the change is going to the tense is going to change. So in that case, what we do is change directly the verb. My father asked what the salad had. Oh, of course. Very good. Right? So guys, in that case, it's necessary to practice, but of course, the report speech is also a way to communicate what other people communicated before, right? What the other people had communicated before. So in that case, I can report many different sentences, questions, yes or no questions, WH questions, statements, an imperative or request. Yeah. So every single way to report or every single sentence is going to be reported in a different way. Yes. Some of them change, some of them don't change, depends on the context, if it's an immediate report or if it has passed some time between the sentence and the report. Okay. By the way, so good. So far, so good. I think that you have it clear. Okay. Questions about it, difficulties, problems?
No, teacher is more practice.
Yeah. Okay. Very good, guys. So when we're talking about listening to other people, which is basically what we do here, we listen to other people and then we repeat what the other people said. Yeah. It's also possible that we are going to talk about stories. Yes. And when we mention stories, it's also like very possible that we are going to tell stories, no? Like when we mention storytelling, it's a possibility, or it's actually kind of a big possibility that we're going to use the simple past because it's something that already happened. But there is not the only way that we can do it. As we saw it before, we can tell a story using different tenses, like, for example, the past continuous and the simple past. Remember that the past continuous is basically used for describing the general context, what was going on. Okay, I was doing this and then something happened. The simple past is usually used for describing the next action, what happened after. So I was traveling around Europe and I met my, no say, my ex-couple or something like that. I was traveling in around the city, or I was walking around the city and I lost myself. Usually the stories start like that because that is like the context and then what is the initial action of that, right? But remember that it's also possible that we can use the past perfect to talk about something that had happened before. For example, I was walking around the city and I lost my cell phone. Unfortunately, I had visited many places before. So in that case, I can start playing with present perfect, sorry, past perfect, past continuous, and past simple, right? But usually when we have a story, it's possible that we include also the present perfect and the present perfect continuous. Why? Because those tenses include the past. They also usually include the present, but they can talk about actions in the past which have no time specified, right? For example, I don't know, I have worked in many places. Yes. If I don't specify it, I said, okay, I have worked in many places. It's an important element of the story, could be. So I can mention it without expressing the time. And if I don't express the time, then I have to use present perfect. So the present perfect is also possible use for talking about stories. And then we have the present perfect continuous, which it's going to be have or has, then been, and then the verb in ing, like he estado haciendo or he estado ta ta ta, yes, which is an action that started in the past. Yes, it's an action that started in the past and continues until the present. Probably is going to continue longer, but unstoppably, yes, uninterruptedly. Yeah. Different from the action on present perfect, which possibly I have a stop or not. When I use present perfect continuous, is an action that has not stopped. For example, I have been working here for 3 years. So I started in 2022 and now we are in 2025, right? So unstoppably, I have been doing that action. They can also contribute for talking about details of the story. For example, I was walking around the city and I lost my cell phone. Unfortunately, I had visited many places before. Hasta ahí, three. three past tenses: past simple, past continuous, and past perfect. The thing or the problem is that I have been blocking all my accounts for the last 2 months. Then I include a part of the story that continues until the present, so I can include it using the present perfect continuous. No, so okay, I have been TTT, and I said because I have lost my cell phone many times, or I have lost my cell phone several times. Yeah, including actions without a specific time. So there are many possibilities to use or to mention actions or elements of a story. The simple past, the past continuous, the past perfect, the present perfect continuous, right? Depending on the idea. And all these ideas are going to be connected using, of course, different kind of transitions between the ideas, right? Well, normally we have, for example, here the differentiation between the present perfect, the simple past, the past perfect, and the present perfect continuous. For example, this is the story kind of it's a timeline regarding the pandemic. So in 2020, no, sorry, in 2019, the COVID was discovered. Yes. And in April of 2020, my salary came down. Why did it came down? Because the COVID had arrived to Colombia. As I came back in the story, okay, I used past perfect. Had arrived. Yes. So, so in this case, we have connectors like because, or so, or then, yes, in order to connect these ideas. Then people have been working from home. Like, for example, in my case, I have been working from home since the pandemic. So I have been working from home for the last 5 years. Yes. So in that case, guys, I can also include it actions with present perfect continuous if they continue until today. If they don't, if they have happened but they don't continue, then I can use present perfect simple. The merchants have tried to jump back, like to recover their business. We just have come back to normal. Yes, so in a part of our past, we came back to normal. So in that case, use present perfect, but without the specification of time. But the connectors of all of these ideas, well, they can be as simple as this one, like because, so, then, later. Yes. But I can also use other different types of connectors. For example, I can use adverbs of time, like for example, these ones, right? If an action continues after the other, I can use adverbs like afterwards, later, the next day, the next thing, the next month, the next renew, right? Or if it's the opposite, if it's something before, we could say up until then, before that, until that time, right? And of course, in this case, with past perfect, as we said before in the last level. And if it's two actions immediate, then we use when, as soon as, the moment, once, also possible, to mention two actions that happen at the same time. Yes. So, for example, I am commenting the story that I told you at the beginning. Yes. So I said, okay, I was walking down the street. I was walking around the city. I'm sorry, around the city. And, oh, sorry. And then I realized I had lost my phone. Period. Yes. The moment I realized it, yes, I noticed that I had visited many places so far, right? So in that case, I'm using, yes, the same details that I mentioned before, but connected with other ideas. So using then, using the moment, yes, and those connections are going to permit the story to be more clear, more complemented, more detailed, and more specific for the person that is listening to me. Yeah. Also, for example, I could say, I can change that part and say perfectly, I don't want to use the moment. I want to use other connector. So I said this, I'm going to erase all of this part. Ta, 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 and I can say up until then. What is the meaning of up until then? Do you remember?
No, teacher.
Any idea a qué le suena up
Any
until then?
any idea?
Any ideas? What is up until then?
Hasta después, until then, but no sé.
Sí,
Sorry, Amy, once
ya,
again.
no, así como algo después.
En ese caso sería más bien hasta ese entonces o hasta ese momento. Yes, so I said up until then, hasta ese momento, I had visited many places so far. De hecho, aquí no sobra so far porque so far hace la misma opción, la misma función de up until then, que es como hasta ese momento, right? Entonces, it's the same idea, but depending the connector that I use, I am going to follow that connector with a different action, no? Depending if I said the moment or as soon as something that happened immediate. If it's something afterwards, so I use the correct connector for creating the correct complement of that sentence, right? If I am using the past perfect, almost certainly I'm going to be using one of these connectors up until then, before that, until that time, until that moment, so far. Yes. So connectors that I can use in storytelling. And a part of the connectors that we can use, we can also mention some adverbs for telling a story. There we are going to have four different options of four different functions of these connectors, and you are going to tell me which one is corresponding to which one. A is starting story. B is closing the story. Closing story, like finishing the story. C, it's moving on. Moving on, it means continuing chronologically with the story. And D is going backwards or going back in the story. It means like retreating into the story. Let's read the adverbs and then you tell me what is the function of that, right? For example, the action, the adverb or the expression, I will never forget the time. What do you think is the function of that adverb? A, B, C, or D?
Maybe E?
A?
Yes.
Yes, because it's starting the story, no? With that, when I say, I know I will never forget the time, is an expression that I usually use for starting an anecdote, no? I will never forget the time. Good. The thing you have to know is
A.
it could be A, but it's also used for going back in the story. For example, I said, no, I was walking down the street and I lost my cell phone. The thing you have to know is that I had visited. So you said like, lo que tienes que saber es que, and then I can start the idea, but I can also go back in the story, like to introduce another information which is important in the story. Ready? Muy bien, very good. It all started when? Super simple.
A.
A, of course. Yes, very good. What happened was
A or D?
perfect, Emily. Muy bien. A or D is exactly the same as the thing you have to know is. I forgot to mention that.
C?
See? Yes, but it says I forgot to mention that, like, something that happened
Ah, D.
before. D, very good, exactly. D, it's going back in the story. Meanwhile,
C.
C, exactly, like moving on in the story. And in the end,
B.
B, that reminds me of when
D?
D or A, because I can say, for example, you're talking about, I see, I was in the shopping center and I lost my phone. And I said, that reminds me of when I was walking, da, da, da. So I can also start a conversation with that. And also going back in the story too, yes? The next thing we knew,
C?
see, of course. So later on,
C?
C too. Very good. To make a long story short,
Maybe B.
Close and
B.
stay.
Yeah, John, sorry.
B.
B, exactly. Because to make a long story short, it means like, bueno, en resumidas cuentas, para no hacerle el cuento largo, right? So in that case, it's making it short. It's closing the story. I have got to tell you about
A.
A. Very good. Starting the story. I, the other thing is,
D
or,
or C.
or C. Very good. It's adding details, maybe for forward or backwards, but it's adding more details. And the last one is so finally,
B.
of course, B. Yes. So notice all of these expressions that we have for giving information in a story. So the story depends on you. How do you want to continue? Right. So for example, here I was telling you a story. I was describing an example. Yes. If I say the thing you have to know is, then I know that the next part, it's not the end. It's more details about the story. The thing that you have to know is that I had been alone for the whole day. And, well, let's say, then, or más bien, so I didn't remember where to look for the phone. Yes. Then what do you think? I'm going to just give the final information. What connector would you use in that case?
Finally,
Very good. Finally. Oh, for example, and in the end, I called no, let's say, I got a call from the person who found it in a boutique, something like that. No. So, and that,
And in the end es como para finalizar, ¿no?
yes, exactly. So that is the
O
last,
para resumir, también podría
yeah,
decir.
like, bueno, al final, like, because in that case, I can change that in the end for other ones, like to sum up, SC to sum up or to summarize, to sum up or to summarize. Esos sí son, John, para resumir. ¿Listo? To summarize or to sum up, right?
And in the end is for like a final idea.
Exactly. All of
Yeah.
them, todos estos son para final idea, son conectores para conclusión. Tengo muchos. To conclude, to finish with, finally, and in the end, at the end of the day, to sum up, to summarize. We have the many different connectors for closing idea, right?
Sure, sorry. Do you have any picture you can share us like with all those connectors?
Of course that I have. But, huh, da, 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 da. I'm going to have here one that it's related to, I'm going to erase this part first, sorry. Yes. I'm going to have this picture. It's more like some different kinds of connectors, summarizing linking words, sequencing linking words that it's like to begin with, following with, depending, right? What happened first, what happened second, following this, right? Time adverbs, until, by the time, ya los vimos, right? Summary, to sum up, in short, to conclude, to make a long story short, yeah? And also certainty linking words. Yes, surely, obviously, definitely, certainly, undoubtedly, right? There are many different connectors, but everything depends on the purpose that I want to describe. For example, guys, I shared with you, I am not sure if I did, but I think I did. Wait. Mm, the connectors related to contrast and also these connectors that were like, okay, contrast here, but also addition, but also result, but also purpose, but also result, but also condition. Now, on the other hand, we have the other connectors which are about giving information about details in the past, no? Time adverbs, summarizing, certainty, sequence, all of that. Depending the purpose that I have, I'm going to have many different connectors. Okay, John?
Thank you, teacher. And the last one was the yellow one.
Ah, the yellow one. I shared with you
Sorry.
the last time, but I don't know if you had the picture or not.
No, let me check. I don't remember. Let me see. You gave us like one from direct speech and reported speech, and
Ah, yeah. That
but
was the
is
last
it?
I
lesson.
have
Yeah.
that picture. I have this picture.
Yes, I shared
This
with you the
yellow.
last
Mm,
week, but it was in week number two.
Okay. I wasn't.
Yes.
I wasn't there. I wasn't
Ah,
at
of
the
course,
class.
yes, it
Sorry.
wasn't there. Good. But yeah, bueno, and nevertheless, here, because in the week number two, we talk about contrasting connectors. However, nevertheless, in spite of, so I show you this picture, but no worries. Well, thank you, God. You just asked me, so I can share with you one more time. No problem. Ready,
Taking
man?
on this is in this yellow one. I like the course gave us like another one. It's a purple one, and it's kind similar.
Yeah.
But there's a word, whereas. Do you know
Whereas,
what
yes,
does it?
we're of
How
course.
can I use whereas? Because it's like
Whereas
mientras, but I don't know how to use it.
whereas we're going to have it reserved for the week number six, Johncito, right? The week number six, we have one
Okay,
class
teacher.
entirely for whereas, while, and unlike, because
Oh,
it's
okay,
a
okay.
connector of contrast.
Nice.
Ready?
Yes, yes.
Listo, my friend. No
Okay, teacher.
worries. So, but whereas is just a formal word to say like, sorry, unlike or while, but it's basically the
So
same.
it's not common to use it or yes.
No, it is depending on the context, no? Because for example, you have a very formal register, so for you it would be nice to use it. In my case, I don't have such a formal register, so probably I wouldn't use it, but depends on the register that you use. For example, if you are talking in the church, it's a good word to use. It's a fine word, yeah. If you're talking with your friends, probably it's not going to appear there, but depends on the situation, right? Everything depends on the situation.
Okay, teacher, thank
No worries. Bueno, my friend. So all of these connectors, what they are going to do is to help me to introduce the information in the right way. And this is why we have this topic here in the week of the communication, because as you have seen so far in the first 3 weeks, we have worked a lot in connectors, basically in all the connectors that I show you. But it's not only learning the words, but it's also learning how to introduce them. In what context should I introduce them, right? So, for example, here we see the story could have all different topics or all different, yeah, like all the different topics that we saw this week. Yeah, because in this case, I am just having an example of simple past, past perfect, past continuous, present perfect, that so far, yes. But I can also introduce, for example, okay, at the end, I got a call from the person who found it in a boutique. The person mentioned, y el mensaje de la persona fue, you forgot your phone in the counter, in the counter. Do you know what is the counter? What is the counter?
It's like es como el lugar donde uno registra como las maletas. I don't know
And in
how to
airport,
explain.
yes. In the airport, it's the place is the table, the desk where you register your luggage. But in any store is the place, the desk where you pay, where there is the register machine. So that's the counter, no? So in the place where you put your products and then you pay. So in that case, I said the person mentioned that. How can you translate this into the report speech?
The person mentioned that For God, you're found in the counter, in
That
the
one
country.
is the same. It doesn't change.
I think I don't know. The only thing that changed is that and the past the person mentioned.
Okay, but in that case, this is already in past. So when we have
Uh-huh.
the past of the past is past perfect. So we have to change it to the past perfect. But
Have
analyze
have
this
forgotten.
situation. Exactly, had forgotten. But analyze this situation. I called you and I said, Mr. What is your last name, John?
Giraldo.
Giraldo. Mr. Giraldo, this is your phone. I am calling you because you forgot your phone in the counter of the boutique. Bueno, the person is not calling you because you don't have cell phone. The person is calling other person next to you, and they received your call. So he said, "Okay, Mr. Giraldo forgot his phone here in the counter." Yes. So in that case, you said, "Okay, the person mentioned that."
So yes, you have forgotten is
No, because it was not me. No fui yo el que lo olvidó. ¿Quién lo olvidó?
yes. The person next to me,
You forgot
me,
it. So in
me,
that
sorry.
exactly. So you said, and in the end, I got a call from the person who found it in a boutique. The person mentioned that I had forgotten it, that I had forgotten the phone in a boutique. And here we are applying the report speech, ¿cierto? Entonces, that I had forgotten the phone in a boutique. Okay, well, I was walking around the city up until then, and I realized that I had visited many places because window shopping, window shopping. What is the meaning of window shopping?
La ventana de ventas.
More or less. Emily, what is the meaning of window shopping? Do you have any idea? ¿A qué te suena window shopping?
No, no sé.
No idea. Es una acción que hacemos cuando vemos, pero no compramos. We walk around.
Como
Ah,
vitrinear.
eso es lolear, eso es lolear.
Exactamente.
Ah, ok.
Exactamente, right? Entonces, window shopping is vitrinear. Yes, so in that case, because window shopping is very typical for me. And here we are introducing very typical for me. Because here we are introducing the gerunds. Yes, window shopping is very typical for me. I am introducing the gerund in the way to describe my habits. Or it is typical because it's typical for me to window shop, which is, of course, vitrinear, right? Now, this, guys, the idea of this whole week was talking about communication and how we can communicate better. Independently of the idea, we have a lot of resources. We can describe my opinion directly from me using gerunds, using infinitive. What do you think it is? It is typical, ta ta ta. It is a good idea. It is a bad idea, right? I can also describe what other people said using the report speech. Hmm? And also, I can connect all of those ideas, present, past, yes, all of those, using the right connector. Some of them about contrast, some of them about introducing more information, some of them about starting the information, others for closing the information. So the important thing is that we have to start building up a lot of resources that we can defend ourselves in any kind of context. Talking about past stories, talking about my opinion, talking about what other people talk, and so on, so on. Ready? Questions, difficulties, problems? Do you have any questions here? Everything good?
In this week, we summarize uh, a lot of topics we
True.
have seen
Mhm.
through the weeks.
Kind
So
of.
it's becoming tough. No,
It's a,
it's good because we see how we can talk better,
exactly,
express better
exactly. That
our
is like
our ideas.
a testing week for you that you can test yourself and see how you are.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mostly in past, yes, in past. It's
Exactly. Well, this part of the storytelling, it's mostly in past and with all the resources. But talking about your opinions and all of that, that is also present. and report speech that can be in any kind of tense, present past, present perfect, depends, right? So, but yes, it's just like a testing week, so you can prove yourself that you are doing it right, okay?
Yeah,
Bueno, my
teacher.
dear people. So, if you don't have any other question, then next week we are gonna have classes, but I have to tell you something. Guys, from the 23rd of this month, from the next Friday, I'm gonna be on vacation for around 2 weeks and a half, more or less, right? So I'm going to make a video the next week so I can give you all the information, right? About the classes of that time when I'm not going to be. Of course, you can program classes with the assistant teachers. And well, it's only for 2 weeks. Then I come back and we continue with the process normally. Okay. So the thing is that I'm going to give you specific dates and specific instructions the next week in a video. But it's just for letting you know in advance that you are aware that I'm going to be missing for 2 weeks and a half, 3 weeks, more or less, right? But let's say 3 weeks, but probably it's less. Depends on the coordinator. So in that case, I'm going to let you know specific dates and with the specific instructions because probably I am going to give videos in advance of those classes. If you don't want to program classes with assistant teachers, it's fine. You can watch the videos that I'm going to give you in the platform in advance, right? Because it's like we are in the week number 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8. I'm going to put with the videos of those 3 weeks in advance so you can watch them if you don't want to program classes with the assistant teachers, but that is optional for you. Okay, guys. So next week,
Teacher, when you said in advance, it's like como de adelantadito.
exactly.
Ah, okay, okay, okay.
Yes. Exactly, exactly. So, pues I have videos about those classes, not with this group, but with other groups, but it's the same topic. So in that case, I can
Yes.
put those videos so you can watch them in advance. And when I come back, we will be in the week number 8, if I'm not wrong. So that's it, right? Okay, guys, thank you for the comprehension. Thank you for the understanding, and
Teacher,
see you
if
the
we
next
have
week.
any questions during these weeks, you, I think you're not gonna be able, yeah?
No, I'm going to leave you the mail of the person that is going to be in charge. Probably the assistant or maybe another teacher, but that is not certain yet because the coordinator hasn't confirmed that. So as soon as he tells me, I'm going to make the video with all the information and I'm going to leave the video for you. Because of course it's from the other I mean the next week it's class with me normal. And then on May the 23rd, Mayo 23, that is the other Friday, not tomorrow, but the other Friday, then start my vacations. Ready?
Okay, teacher.
Hmm?
So
And for
we
that,
wait for
Okay,
that video
teacher.
yes,
to come.
exactly. No
Thank
worries.
you.
No
I
worries.
I hope you enjoy your vacations.
Thank you. I will,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah,
going to
by the way,
share.
enjoy your vacations, yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm going to share with you because I have something planned big, but when I come back, I will let you know, okay?
Okay, teacher.
Okay, teacher.
Guys, have a good night and a good weekend and enjoy also your week. Rest a lot.
Thank you, teacher.
Have a good
Goodbye.
night.
Bye, teacher.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
See you.